I'm Richard Dick Taylor. This is my first show. I'm really excited about this because it gives me a chance to introduce to you a bunch of people that I've met and found very fascinating. I hope you'll find them as fascinating as I did. I hope by all means, if you like what you see, you'll either write the station here or call up. Okay, I'd like to introduce my first guest now, who is an old professor of mine at the University of California, Oxnard, and he's Professor Sanford Bellinger. Professor, I'm very glad you can make it.
Oh,
let me get the microphone here.
Oh, good. Oh, there we go.
Oh, let me just pin that on you.
Oh, yes, of course, all these technical things.
I see you have rocks with you, Professor.
Yes, this rock is, well, you know, I'm an expert on the ancient Dredunian culture.
Yes, I knew it. My favorite course in school.
Oh, this is a rock that I excavated from the earth in ancient Dredunia, which is a part of modern-day northern Romania or southern Estonia, or in that general neighborhood. And here I have with me also a rock from your parking lot. I took the liberty of smashing it off the wall there. I chipped it off with this rock. This rock, no, this rock is from the ancient Dredunian culture, and this rock, I believe, yes, it's marked reserved. This is from your parking lot. And as you notice, the yellow markings on the one rock show the age of it, whereas the chalk marks saying reserved on the other rock show that it is a modern rock, and we can see that they are quite dissimilar.
They are. The markings are strikingly different.
Yes.
I'm surprised. How can a person learn how to tell a difference in rocks? It must be a very trained eye. Professor.
Oh, well, yes. I've wandered around looking at rocks for years and years. Actually, when I was in Romania, I sort of stumbled on the excavations, as it were. Actually, I fell in a large hole, and I found this rock, and it had chipped off from a larger rock. Therefore, we have a smaller rock which was chipped from a larger rock, and it actually is what we scientists call an artifact.
Artifact?
Yes.
What clarifies what an artifact is?
Well, an artifact is an ancient tool that the Dredonians used to make stone tools. They would take a piece of stone and they would chip on another piece of stone until they had a smaller piece of stone.
They use stones then?
They use stones to chip smaller pieces of stone from larger pieces of stone to make stone implements.
Stone implements, huh?
Yes. They were really an interesting people. They were much like you and I, actually.
How were they like us?
Well, they worshipped a goat god. They ate skunk meat and ragweed, and they believed that lard was an aphrodisiac. They were much like the people you might see living in Pomona today.
What has happened to the Dredunian people?
You were in my economics class, weren't you?
I was, yes, I enjoyed
I'm a
it.
professor of economics. Well, the Dredunians, as I said, they were not a warlike people, and they did not believe in aggression. So they were very peaceful, very kind, very gentle people, and their neighbors to the north, unfortunately, were not. They came and they slaughtered the entire Dredunian populace. They killed every man, woman, and child, and therefore the quiet, lovable people were slaughtered entirely. A lesson for today, and all of us, we must remember it. If we are kind and gentle, we will probably be slaughtered.
I really feel enlightened about that. I feel more about them than I ever have before. I'd like to thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome. I'm glad.
Really?
I'm glad.
Totally
I'm glad to be here. I'm
Totally
glad you could have me. Yes, it was the most enjoyable. I love sharing my erudition.
Drive carefully. I know it's a long way back to Oxnard.
Oh, I have a bicycle.
You have a bicycle. That's very healthy. Well, thanks again.
Well, you're welcome. I enjoyed it. If you want to keep the rock from your parking lot.
Yeah. Our next guest is a very fascinating young lady who I find to be one of the most interesting people I've met in a long time.
Oh, I'm anxious to meet her myself.
Professor?
Bellinger.
Bellinger, Professor Bellinger, I realize that. I'd like to thank you once again. You really have added so much to the show.
Well,
thank you so much.
You take my microphone off.
Okay. Thank you. It's wonderful. I think if we're ever out your way in Oxnard, we should look you up.
Oh, do. You can stop by.
Now, our next guest is a young lady who I once met at a Safeway supermarket. She was fascinating, and so I thought I would ask her on the show. She has the auspicious position of being elected the Safeway Checker of the Year. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Sherry Cantor. Sherry, oh, you look lovely.
Hi, thank you.
You do look lovely. Let me just pin this on you real quickly. Oh, can't figure out how to do that. Okay, Sherry.
Yes.
So you were elected the Safeway Checker of the Year for the entire state of California. How did you do that?
Well, I wasn't, I'm not exactly the checker of the year.
You're see if we took it.
No, that was Michelle Dozier, but she couldn't be here, so they asked me to come anyway.
You know, a lot of people in today's older generation tend to think of today's youth in terms of youth gangs and vandalism and other senseless acts like that. Well, I think our next guest is going to alleviate a lot of those misconceptions. He is the youngest writer ever to write these pamphlets for the Howard Johnson Motor Lodge, and his name is William Bill Kennerly. Hi, Bill. Good to see you.
Hello, Richard.
Glad you could make it.
Ricky Dick.
Dick. Let's just put that on
Ricker,
here.
Dicker. Ricker, Dick. Writers are always playing with words.
Really,
Yeah.
really. Speaking of playing with words, I just couldn't help but noticing this lovely passage in the Boston Southeast Howard Johnson Motor Lodge pamphlet, lush, leafy, and fresh,
Yes.
describing the salad. Where did that come from?
The words?
Yes.
Acts of God.
It just came into your head from God.
It just kind of, yeah. It was like a, almost a spherical cosmic experience.
Incredible.
Where these crazy things just jumped into my mind.
Huh.
You see so little of this nowadays, Rick, and I'd like to see a little bit more of it come the
Might
future.
I ask, the photographs in here are lovely to go with your lovely words. Did
Yeah.
you take them too?
No, I didn't, but a personal friend did.
Did he? Who?
Yeah, very, very nice
We must
guy.
give credit.
Raphael
Can we get a
Sabatini.
close-up of these lovely photos? Are we
Aren't
getting
they
a close-up?
lovely?
Well, just, if you excuse me just a minute.
Sure.
And the words to go with it, where did they come from? What inspiration did you have?
Well, mostly it's my educational training, Rick.
Where were you educated?
I went to Kender Canyon Elementary School, which
Sure,
is
the other
a
side of
part
it.
of the public school system here in Los Angeles County. And they offered a program of teaching children how to speak and write.
I think everyone's had a chance to read a bit of it. Now, perhaps I could ask some more specific type questions.
I'm hoping you will.
This one is the Boston Southeast, and this is the Lancaster. I wonder, do you tailor your writing towards the area you're
No,
writing for?
tailoring is a whole other area.
No.
I don't tailor.
You don't tailor.
I do try and write for a particular, in other words, if I'm writing for the Lancaster area, then I've got to know that area very, very well. I have a bunch of maps with me in the car, and I have a whole system of correspondence, which I use to put together these little pamphlets.
You
For
research.
example-
You research.
Well, look,
I love to have authors read their own works. Could I get you? There's one passage I'd love to hear you read.
I would love to read it,
Please.
yes.
It's right here. On top there.
Okay.
That-
Now, this is not my area, but I'll give it my best.
I know.
Howard Johnson's provides complete facilities for special events of business meetings for 15 to 150 persons. These include individual conference rooms for smaller meetings and the spacious Boston Room, ideal for banquets, business meetings, and wedding receptions. Audio-visual equipment available upon request. And where I got that information was just asking. I went up to the manager. I said, "Where the heck is the audio-visual equipment?" And you know what he said?
What?
He said, "It's on request. Ask somebody else." So I went to somebody else, I asked them, and they didn't know either.
So what do you do to relax?
Well, I like to do little isometric exercises. That's what I do. Oh, things like going up to pieces of wood and grabbing them as tight as I can like that. Ponderosa pine is an excellent thing to do that. Or take like a sledgehammer and go boom like that into some, a tree or something. That's often a very, very good thing. And that,
Really? It alleviates your frustrations. It takes.
Oh, I live with great frustrations.
Do you?
Oh, Dick,
What
Richard, whatever you're
causes
calling yourself, tremendous. It's almost frightening. I scare myself at times. I think, what am I? What am I? Oh, I dropped that. Excuse me. These things happen.
Put that back in there.
There we
Now,
go.
I seem to have a little bit of pent-up frustration.
There are.
What caused it?
Well, a couple of
Can I-
things.
let me be. is
No
it-
dates when I was young was one area of
Dates when
disagreement.
you were
Yeah,
young.
that was a problem.
Now, can I ask, do you have trouble with women, or do
Well,
you date a lot, or?
I at one time was dating over 50 women a week,
You're kidding me.
but now it's down to almost none. No dates a week.
No, that's a drastic drop-off. What
From
caused
50
that?
to none is a
caused
huge
that?
drop. What's that?
What caused that?
I don't know. They won't tell me anything about it. They just say that they don't want to go out with me, and if they don't want to go out with me, well, I guess there's nothing I can really do about it, that much about it, is there, Dick? I mean, they don't want to go out with me, and they don't, do they, Dick?
My next guest is a most interesting young man with the most interesting occupation. His name is Harry Phillips. Harry, would you please come on and tell us a bit about what you do? Good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm glad you could make it.
Let me get my shirt.
Just let me get the old mic fixed.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me just attach that. And then, so here, what exactly is it that you do?
Well, Rick, I am a professional patient at the Bryman School for Young Nurses.
Really, I think we all know the Bryman School. We've seen their commercials a lot. What exactly does a professional patient do?
Before I get into that, Rick, I will have to make a statement that the Bryman people asked me to make, if I could for a second.
Please, feel free.
Thank you. A nurse is not a medical doctor. A nurse's function is to assist the medical doctor in pre- and post-operative functions, i.e. enemas, i.e. the shaving of hair before surgery, i.e. the exchange of gowns between one patient and the next. A nurse is a caring, sensitive, sensual young woman. And I personally am quite proud to be associated with the Bryman School. Thank you very much.
Oh, very well said, very well said. Can I ask you, how'd you get into the business? It's such a strange occupation. How did you get into it?
That's connected with a kind of a cute story I tell, if I could tell it here.
Please, feel free.
Okay. About 6 years ago, I was living in Hollywood, California. 315 North Sycamore Street, apartment 203. At the time, I was a guard at the Bank of America on the corner of La Brea and First Street. I awoke one morning, as I often do, and I noticed that my bodily functions were not working properly. I was cold, I was clammy, I was nauseous, in a word. I immediately jumped out of bed, ran straight to the bathroom, and can we say vomit on the air?
I think you should upchuck.
Upchuck.
I upchucked.
You certainly were ill.
I'm in the middle of a story.
Sorry.
Big chunks. Immediately, I said to myself, I am getting to a hospital. I ran out of the bathroom, I threw on my clothes, I grabbed my keys, opened my door, ran out, closed my door, ran down the hall, down the stairs, out the front door, out to the street, across to my 1972 63 Comet. It was green, it had a tuck and roll.
You had a 63 Comet? What color? Green?
It was green. I had
I had one too. Where'd you get yours?
You had a green 63 Comet.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I had a
got
Falcon before that.
You had
That's
a Falcon.
Terrible.
Do you know what I'm
Really?
driving now? I'm driving a Toyota.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
What kind of? I'm driving a Datsun.
You're driving a Datsun.
Incredible
you
car.
poor
Incredible.
son
I used to
of
have.
a
I used to have a Toyota. They were terrible cars, though.
Excuse me, Rick.
Dick.
The Toyota happens to be an excellent car. As a matter of fact, when I bought my Toyota,
I had a Toyota. I know. I had a Toyota. Now I have a Datsun. It's a lot better car.
Rick, a Datsun is not a good car. A Datsun is really kind of
I know
a crummy
cars.
machine.
I read Road and Track. I know cars.
You read Road and Track?
Yes.
Well, I happen to subscribe to Car and Driver.
So which
if you
magazine
don't,
is better?
I think Car and Driver happens to be a much better
Oh,
magazine.
I'm sorry. I know cars.
Look at.
My father was a mechanic. I know cars.
Rick, I have had a Toyota for 4.5 years now. Never have I had a problem with that car. And I am getting a little bit upset with your insistence.
What do you know? You don't know anything about it.
What do I know? I've been driving a Toyota for 4 years. What
So
do
I
you what do
drove a
I
Datsun for 2 years.
Yeah,
I know.
how much money have you put into repairs in that car?
Not. I just. it's
Over
an
$400. I mean,
No.
you
200.
I have spent maybe
200 at the most.
I have spent maybe $10 in my Toyota.
Major tune-ups.
Major tune-ups. I have never had to tune up that car.
Well,
never.
Come
have I
on.
had
In 4 years.
In 4 years,
Oh,
my
please.
Toyota has run like a sweet little Singer sewing machine.
What do you know?
What do I know? I subscribe to Car and Driver magazine. I have driven my...
Right.
Oh.